And the final type of depreciation is unit cost depreciation. And this is where the item depreciates based on how much the item has been used rather than the age of the item. For example, a coffee machine, it depreciates by how many cups of coffee it's produced. So it depreciates according to number of cups of coffee made, or number of coffees made. And a car, when we're buying a car, we're not only just interested in how old it is, we're actually interested in the mileage. So a car may depreciate according to its number of kilometres driven. That's what we say. So here, to find the depreciation, so D is depreciation, as we would expect. Okay. Depreciation is the rate of depreciation times by, so that's the unit cost depreciation, times by the amount of use. If we call R rate of depreciation, okay, and N is the amount of use, then we can say depreciation is Rn. The rate of depreciation is going to be a rearrangement of that. It's going to be the depreciation divided by the amount of use. Okay, so rate of depreciation, which we called R, is the depreciation divided by the amount of use, which we're going to call N. The amount of use is also a rearrangement of that. It's the depreciation divided by the rate of depreciation, which is amount of use is N, is the depreciation divided by R. You could always think of that as this little triangle, like your speed, distance, time. We've got depreciation is rate times the amount of use. Rate is depreciation divided by amount of use, and amount of use is depreciation divided by the rate, if that helps you. Okay. And the book value we're using a little bit different, is just the purchase price, which is P, minus the depreciation. Okay. So P minus D is the book value, or book value is P minus D, which was Rn. Book value, BV, is book value. Now in this example, okay, we've got a business maintains a company car that is purchased for $3,600. The business will replace this car when it's travelled 150,000 kilometres, at which time the trade-in value will be $16,000. So we're trying to find the unit cost depreciation of the car per kilometre. So the unit cost depreciation is actually the rate of depreciation. So to find the rate of depreciation, A, we're trying to find the rate. In order for us to find the rate, we're going to have to do depreciation divided by the amount of use. So the first thing we have to do is work out what's the depreciation. So depreciation is the purchase price minus the book value. Purchase price was $34,600 minus the book value, so the scrap value, if you prefer, $16,000, which gives us $18,600. So that's the depreciation in total. Okay. The unit cost depreciation is the rate of depreciation which is 18,600, divided by its use, which was 150,000 kilometres, which works out on our calculator to be 0.124, or 12.4 cents per kilometre. To find out the unit cost depreciation per 1,000 kilometres, if we know it's 12.4 cents per kilometre and we're doing it for 1,000 kilometres, we do 12.4 times 1,000, which is 12,400 cents, or $124 per 1,000 kilometres. Now, in B, we're being asked what is the book value of the car after it's travelled 35,000 kilometres. So, the book value is the purchase price minus the depreciation, and depreciation is the rate of depreciation times the amount of use. So purchase price was 34,600. The rate of depreciation, because we're doing it in 35,000 kilometres, we might as well just go, it's $124 per 1,000 kilometres, so 124, but we're only going to times it by 35 because it's 35,000 kilometres. That's just going to make life easier. So the book value after it's travelled 35,000 kilometres is 30,260. So remember what I did there, I worked out the depreciation by doing the rate of depreciation, 124, times by the amount of kilometres, which was 35,000, and then I took that away from the original amount. In part 2, we do a similar thing. The book value is the purchase price, 34,600, times the depreciation per 1,000 kilometres, which is 124, and we're going for 110,000 kilometres, so times that by 110, and that gives us $20,960. That's its book value after it's travelled 110,000. I'm just going to do part C up here because I've run out of space. So, part C, it says the car travels an average of 30,000 kilometres per year. We want to find the useful life of the car. Let's just reread our question again. It goes, a business maintains a company car that was purchased for 34,600. The business will replace this car when it has travelled 150,000 kilometres, at which time the trade-in value will be 16,000. Okay, so here we know it travels 30,000 kilometres per year. We've got to trade it in once it's travelled 150,000. So its useful life, it's going to be how long it takes for it to do 150,000, which is going to be 150,000 divided by 30,000, which is 5 years. So a nice simple calculation. In part 2, we're actually being asked to find the equivalent flat rate depreciation. So we have to think back to flat rate depreciation. I'm trying to find the rate. So to find the rate, it's R, okay, and it's 100 times the depreciation over PT. Okay, so depreciation we found out earlier in part 1. Depreciation was 18,600. So 100 times 18,600. We know the purchase price was 34,600. Okay, and the time is what we're looking at in part C, which was 5 years. So we're going to do 100 times 18,600 all over 34,600 times 5. Working that out on our calculators is going to give us 10.75%. So what it's saying is, instead of doing working out the unit cost, working out if it just depreciates 10.75% per year, it's the same as depreciating by 124 kilometres, $124 per 1,000 kilometres.